Hello everyone, welcome. We have big news, big crazy news. Monsters Inc. is closing permanently. Closing permanently at Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, California. It is a shock, it's a surprise to me, but we have a lot of details, so let's dive right into it. We have a lot to discuss. There's three big pieces of news, and this is all part of the same thing. This is part of the Disneyland Forward Project. So Disneyland Forward, for those of you guys who don't know, here, let me shift this over, is an expansion of Disneyland. So this is Disneyland Resort. All right, that's Disneyland, this California Adventure. So Disneyland Resort, and it's basically asked the city of Anaheim to allow them to utilize all the space that they've owned. And Disneyland does own a lot of space. It's more than just this. They got own this. They own this section right over here. They own, this is the parking lot. This is the Toy Story parking lot. So they own a significant amount of land around the parks, and they want to expand. They want to maybe use it for different things like attractions. So there's plans in place to expand both parks, and we have just the tip of the iceberg here, just the tip of the iceberg for what Disneyland is going to do. And let's talk about, first things first, the closing of the Monsters Inc., the Monsters Inc. ride. So the Monsters Inc. ride is right over here. Right, this is the Monsters Inc. ride, and this is a new press release recently released by the Disney Parks blog. And essentially, this entire Hollywood Backlots area here, let me just go ahead and get a little marker there so you can kind of see things and such. So this entire area, more or less, is going to become Avatar Land. I don't know how much of Hollywood is going to be shifted, right? We don't know if it's going to be getting rid of Hyperion Theater. We don't know if this kind of road area is going to be changed. We don't know if all of Hollywood Boulevard is going to be changed for Avatar Land, or maybe parts of it. But this section right here, this is the big change. This is Avatar Land now. This is Avatar Land now, and it's going to be, construction is going to begin in early 2026. And that's when they're closing Monsters Inc. The Monsters Inc. Mike and Sully to the Rescue ride is closing early 2026. So we have actually less than a year. We have less than a year before this ride closes. So if you want to ride that ride, you better get it in now, or rather, you should better get it in this year, because early next year, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone forever. That used to be the old Hollywood ride, with the stars. I actually don't think I've ever ridden that one, but I do love the Monsters Inc. ride. It's a very quick ride to get on, especially with the Buddy Pass system. For anyone, and it's just fun. Monsters Inc. is just great, but that story is going away, and we don't know how much of this is being removed, but there is a lot, I suspect, that's being removed. This is Avatar Land. This is the concept art for Avatar Land, and it is huge, right? Avatar Land is supposed to be huge. I think it's supposed to be based on The Way of the Water, the second movie of the franchise. But regardless, it's supposed to be expansive. It's supposed to make you feel like you're in an alien world. And I just don't see them not removing nearly everything here in order to make way for it. They might keep Animation Academy because it's on the south side, and maybe Hyperion Theater, although no guarantees, because they haven't really been utilizing Hyperion Theater, right? They haven't been running the shows that they would normally do, right? Aladdin or Frozen. It's just empty. It's empty. They use it for certain special events, but nothing. So it's possible that maybe this is also just gone as well. Maybe this entire area right here is going to become Avatar Land, and there's no more Hollywood. There's no more Hollywood Land right here, just on the edge of the Avengers campus. And such. So that's pretty crazy. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think about that. But that's what's going to happen, and that's early 2026. So it's goodbye, Mike and Sully. Goodbye, Monsters Inc. ride. It's very sad. Speaking of, though, Disneyland Forward construction, we also have more news now. We have more news now of the, can I move this? How can I get rid of this? I have an app that lets me draw on there, but I can't move it now. Okay. We have information on the Coco ride. So they're adding a ride based on the Coco, the Pixar movie Coco. And it's going to be near Paradise Gardens Park. This is Paradise Gardens Park right here, and Pixar Pier. Pixar Pier kind of extends right along this area. So the real question is, kind of, where is it going to be? Because this is a lot of area. I don't think it's going to be right here. So this right here, This is where Pixar Pier and Paradise Gardens Park is, and this is the food area. So this is the Pacific Wharf or the San Francisco area wharf. This is all food places. So I don't think it can be there. I don't think it can be in this location on the waterfront, although I suppose it's possible. It's possible that it's also in here in the Embarcadero, the gift shop. But apparently this is going to be using backstage area. They're building this in backstage area, and here's another clue. Here's another clue for the Coco ride. Notice this on this left here, on the left side of this image. We got this structure, this white, structure. That's the roller coaster. That's the Incredicoaster. The Incredicoaster that runs right through here. So this is Incredicoaster. So I think that the idea for the original plan, at least their concept art, is that it would be somewhere near the Incredicoaster. And it looks like it's somewhere to the left of it. So my thinking is that they're considering this section right over here of the Pixar Pier, Paradise Gardens, right over here. And that makes sense because this is where they also generally have the shows, the Coco performances during the Halloween season at Disneyland California Adventure. And they have a lot of it kind of based in this section. So I really think that they're going to put it somewhere around here, either maybe back here because Goofy Sky School. This is a backlot area. I think there's some backlot space right over here, possibly. But somewhere in this section, I think we're going to see the Coco ride being built, and that's kind of what we have sort of expected originally. The Coco ride is going to start construction in this fall, so we're going to know pretty soon. We're going to know in 4-ish months where exactly it's going to be because we're going to start the construction go up. But it's probably going to take about 2 years for it to develop. It really depends on how complicated the ride is going to be. If it's not too crazy, it might take less time. If it's a really big project, it might take more time. But it's going to begin construction this fall. So that's part of the Disneyland Forward project. And then here's the crazy news. Here's the crazy news, guys, that I don't even know. I don't even know what to make of this. I have a feeling it's a sign of something much bigger than what we're seeing right now, right? Forget the Coco ride, forget Avatar Land and Lost Monsters Inc. I think that this next change indicates something so much bigger than all of this. Let me go ahead and start from the beginning. I don't want to go get too crazy. Okay, on the face of it, this is a fairly, kind of mundane news. So what they're going to do is they're going to make a new transportation hub in their Manchester cast member parking lot. Now, I don't know exactly if I know where that is, but I believe that is right here. I'm not a cast member, so knowing where that, oops, that's the settings. Knowing where that is exactly is a little tricky. But essentially, what we're looking at here is this section right here. I believe that this is the Manchester parking lot, and maybe this is also the Manchester parking lot. So that section right there belongs to Disneyland. All of that right there belongs to Disneyland. They also, and you can kind of see a little bit, is they also own this little section right here. You see how that's kind of attached? Yeah. So this is a parking space for cast members to park their cars. At least that's what I assume because it's the cast member parking lot. What they're going to do with this section of space, maybe just this section up here, maybe just this top section, maybe both section, is they're going to build a parking structure. They're going to build a parking structure in this vlog. They talked about this parking structure, and it's going to allow them to bring in people to Disneyland from the east side of the area, right? This is their concept art right there. So this is right across from Harbor Boulevard, Disneyland, and this is the 5 freeway. So theoretically, you could come into this parking structure from Disney Way. You get in here, you park your car. It's going to have 6,000 spaces. Now you want to know, Kevin? You want to know how much is 6,000 spaces? That's a very good question. And the reason why 6,000 spaces, I can't move this with this thing on. New add-ons. Is this is equivalent to the addition, the Pixar Pals addition to the Mickey and Friends parking structure, right? So this entire thing right here, that's about 6,000 spaces. That's 6,000 spaces according to the ocarchitectureguide.com. That's about 6,000 spaces. And the original Mickey and Friends has 10,000 spaces. So this bigger structure part here is 10,000, and this was added on as 6,000 additional spaces. So that's a lot of people, right? If we assume an average of 2 people per car, that's enough for 12,000 people. If you assume 2.5 people per car, that's 15,000 people. So that's a lot of people that could come into the parks. Disneyland by itself and California Adventure, I believe, is somewhere around 90,000. The capacity is 90,000. So if you could add 15,000 more people, that's a lot of capacity. Now the real question is, why are they doing this? Why are they adding all this expansion? Because Disney has a lot of parking, right? They have parking right here for the Mickey Friends, Pixar Palace parking lot. They have the Toy Story parking lot down here, which is a very, very big parking area. They even have people that probably come to Disneyland via the downtown Disney parking, and some people are, of course, staying at hotels that Disneyland owns, right? So they have the parking there, or they're staying at hotels around the park, so they have parking. So the real question is, why are they adding so much more parking? Have I personally noticed Disney running out of room? And no. There's whenever I go to Disneyland, there's always this parking space. I've rarely been redirected to park at a different parking structure. Every time I try to go to the Mickey and Friends, so every now and again, I do get redirected over here to Toy Story. But I can count the number of times I've been redirected since I started streaming in the past few years on my hand. And I think it's somewhere like 2. I can only remember one specifically, but I think it's something like 2. So not very often. They don't run out of space. And the one time that I do remember clearly why they redirected me is because they had a police incident. They had a police incident with police cars going into the parking structure because there was a car chase. So there was a safety reason. It wasn't not enough space reason, a safety reason. So why add more space? Why add more capacity? Is it Avatar Land? Well, I don't think so. I mean, they are going to get rid of this section here, but it's probably going to hold, maybe a little bit more than what they have, built already here, right? So a bit more, but not like a ton more, right? It's just adding a new land here. Coco Ride is not going to add a lot more capacity. Coco Ride is not going to add a ton more capacity. So why have so many people? Why add in a bigger structure? And the reason why I think is you got to take a look at this picture. You got to take a look at the picture. Look at this beautiful picture, by the way. This is an artistic comment. So this is supposed to be a new sort of entryway into the parks, as you can see, right? This is taking place right about here, right? This section right here, that's what you're looking at. That's what you're looking at, right? This is Space Mountain, Thunder Mountain's in the distance. I mean, Matterhorn's in the distance. Space Mountain, Matterhorn. They're gonna have a bridge that kind of goes over this area. That's why you're saying like, oh, how can you connect it? Well, they do own this section, right? Like I said, they own this section, so they're gonna have a bridge that goes all the way over to this area, and then they're gonna have people coming in through that main entrance. They're probably gonna get rid of one of these terminals or gets rid of this back area so that people could come in and then move deeper into the parks here, right? This is the entrance. This is the Disneyland entrance. This is the California Adventure entrance. This is the Esplanade. So. Very, very straightforward kind of thing, right? A very beautiful Disneyland Resort picture. It looks gorgeous. They're going to probably have music as people comes in. It's going to be a new excitement. And of course, this new parking structure. Parking structure implies, multi-level, right? It could have 6 or 7 levels. Something like that. Is going to have a way to get over to park via shuttle. They're going to have a ride share ability to, I guess, maybe drop people off, security screening, just like the other parking lots, parking structures. So it's going to be a very easy way to get over. You can walk over, you can take the shuttle. There's that big pedestrian bridge. It's going to be interesting. And that construction is going to begin the end of next year, fall 2026. And now you're saying like, that's a long time. That's a long time. I mean, even the Avatar Land is getting construction started in, early 2026. Coco is going to get construction started in this year, like literally, right? Literally. So why are they doing it so far away? Why are they beginning the construction for park construction fall 2026? I think part of it is just logistics, right? They have to figure out where the cast members are going to park. They're going to have to plan this out how big they want it. But I think the bigger reason why they are delaying construction to the end of next year is because they are trying to figure out what they want to do for Disneyland. And this is the big news. This is my Hail Mary. This is what I think is happening. I think Disneyland is still considering whether they want to open up a third park, a third gate, right? Originally it was just Disneyland, right? This is Walt Disney over here, right? This is Walt Disney. Then they decided, okay, you know what? Let's open a second park, right? So they opened up California Adventure to the south. This used to be their big parking lot. They took it all down and they built California Adventure, which is a great, right? I love California Adventure. But I still believe that they are still trying to figure out if they can put in a third park in somewhere. And where are they going to put it? I think that this section right here, let me bring up the marker again. Bring up the marker. Is going to be, let's see, from right here. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be a perfect drawing, okay, guys? But right about here-ish. Right there. I think that's the third park. That's the third park kind of area, right? Because they own all of that. Disneyland owns every single bit of this section, right? This is a lot of downtown Disney. There's a Disneyland hotel in here. There's a lot of downtown Disney parking lot. But Disney owns everything. Maybe we'll just skirt up. I accidentally included the California hotel. Let's just not include that part. We'll ignore the fact that I accidentally circled the California hotel. Can we erase that? I can erase it a little bit. So why do I think that Disney is considering a third gate? Well, one, I think Disney's always trying to consider it expansion purposes, and rumors of a third gate have always been present. But two, I think this recent news where they are planning to add the capacity of 15,000 people with a single parking structure could indicate that Disney is looking to expand even more than what we've just witnessed. And what Disneyland is, I think, seriously considering is, hey, you know what? Why don't we consider building in this area? They have talked about building in this area before, officially. They have talked about using this area for expanding the Disneyland Park and California Adventure Park, right? If you could just expand it, Disneyland to the west, right here, and then California Adventure also to the west here, and you could just kind of add a few more things there. But notice how they haven't announced anything specific about new lands or new attractions that take place in this area, right? The new land that they added is gonna be in Hollywood Land, right? I originally thought that if they were going to expand west, they would put it right over here. They would have new Avatar Land right over here in this parking lot, downtown parking lot, or whatever. But they are, or maybe this is Pixar parking. No, this is a Simba parking lot. Sorry, my apologies. But they haven't. No. They're going to just do a very simple. I don't know what this happened here. Coco expansion using the backlot somewhere around here. They're getting ready Hollywood Land for Avatar Land. So that means that they have not specifically decided or announced what they're going to do in this gigantic section over here that they own, and that they were definitely saying, hey, we could build attractions here. They can build attractions here, right? This entire area. And I think if you look at it, look how big Disneyland is. This is Disneyland, this California Adventure. This section right here, even if you exclude the Disneyland Hotel, is very large. It's extremely large and can fit another land. It's going to be a little strangely shaped, I think, if they don't get rid of the Disneyland Hotel. But it's definitely enough for a new land, a third gate. And it's perfectly positioned because notice how the Esplanade is set up. This is the Disneyland side. This is the California Adventure side. If you put a third gate right over here on the west side of this section, people could go in to any of those three different parks, and it's all perfectly centered together. It's beautiful. You gotta love the symmetry, right? Everyone comes in from this main entrance, right? They looked at this. Doesn't this look like a main entrance to you? Doesn't this say hey, we're gonna bring in everyone on this direction? It looks like that to me, right? They're gonna bring in all these people are going to come in on this side. They're even probably going to have, maybe if they change it up, maybe they even have the trams come in that side. And then you could go into any of the three parks. Disneyland, California Adventure. There's a lot of different names people keep throwing around. Westcott, how we have Epcot in Florida. They're thinking Westcott, Pixar Land. I don't think I don't know if any of those names are really are serious, but it's in terms of like what they're considering. But I really do think that the fact that they're adding 15,000 spaces means they're looking at expansion. They're looking at expansion. They're saying we're going to make Disneyland Resort bigger. How they're going to do it, we don't know for sure. But 15,000 more people is a lot of people. There's a lot of people that you fit, and like I said. The parking structures, none of them are filled. None of them are packed, right? This one, plenty of parking here. Mickey and Friends, Pixar Pals, Toy Story, this, and then adding 15,000. Disney's planning ahead. They're saying, hey, we have all this space. We have all these people that are coming in and want to come to the parks. Let's make this bigger. Let's make this more attractive. Let's do something. Now, you could say, yeah, they could still be just considering expanding Disneyland to the left, California Adventure to the west. They could still be considering that. That's true, right? But I have a feeling that if you're adding 15,000, the spaces for 15,000 more people, you're considering some pretty significant expansions. And I'm guessing third gate. They're going to do something. They're going to do something, right? Otherwise they're not going to make any, you wouldn't need to make any changes. But if you need more parking and you're probably getting rid of the parking up here, you're definitely considering making some significant change. Now, of course, they could be more limited. It really depends on how much money the Walt Disney Company has, how much they really want to invest in the parks here in Anaheim. And so they might have a more muted expansion. Maybe they're just going to get rid of part of the parking lots here for both sides and just leave everything else in place. And they could certainly do that. And because they have to get rid of the parking lots, they'd have to make more parking somewhere else, and that's what they're considering. But I think that they're setting themselves up. They're doing preparations ahead of time, and they don't know what they're going to do. They don't know exactly what they want to do, how much they want to change, but they are laying the groundwork, right? You can't open a park without the parking space. I mean, you could. It'd just be a mess. It'd be a mess for everyone, and no one would be happy. And if we know anything, the Disneyland Company is all about trying to make this the happiest place on earth, right? So parking's important. But yeah, that's very exciting here. The other section, and this is something that we discussed before, and this may be another option, is they could build the park right here, right? This is the Toy Story parking area. It's big. Look how big of this square is. I don't think they own this part, but they own like pretty much nearly everything else. It's as big as California Adventure, right? Look at this section. That's California Adventure right there. This is actually backlot. This section basically is the size of California Adventure. They could put the park there. It's not as an elegant solution because because the main entrances are here, and the entrance for this new park would have to be somewhere else, maybe like right over here. So it's not as a nice place to kind of put another park entrance to kind of connect everything together as having it over here. But that's also a possibility. It's also a little bit more square, which may be, more appealing. But if Disney is going to go on this grand expansion and they are going to open a third gate, what I suspect that they are going to do is that they're going to do everything in pieces, in chunks. So they're going to start working on this parking structure, which means that all these cast members are going to have to park somewhere else. So they're going to have to find other places in the other parking structures for them to park, right? And then once that parking structure is pretty close to being constructed or built, or maybe after built, maybe they'll start building another parking structure somewhere else. Maybe they'll build a parking structure here in Toy Story, or maybe they'll build it right over here in this section, so that they have even more room to expand, even more room to develop things, right? Because if you have parking structures which are multi-level, it's a multi-level building that can hold a lot more spaces than just a flat surface area, then you don't need as wide a parking lot. You don't need a wide parking lot. You could get rid of it and put something else there, something else that people may be very interested in visiting, such as new lands, expansions of Disneyland or California Adventure, or a new park. That's what I think. That's my theory. And I think that's the biggest news. I mean, Avatarland is cool. It's sad to see goodbye to Monsters Inc. Coco Ride's cool, but I think this is all setting us up for third gate. I'm always gonna say it. I probably, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Maybe in if you in 10 years you can say, Kevin, you completely didn't know anything. That's true. It's very possible. But this looks to me like Disney is trying to make something grand here, a grand entrance here, and I really do think that if they're trying to make a grand entrance here, they're trying to build something up for, on the other side of things. Could be wrong. I mean, hey, even if I'm wrong, new Coco ride, very exciting. Avatarland's great. And of course, farewell Monsters Inc. We'll have to ride that. We'll have to ride it many times over the next half year, maybe 9 months at best, before it goes goodbye, because we won't see it again. So that's really tragic. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll see something like it again in Disneyland in the future. But I wouldn't give my hopes up. Unless they release another Monsters movie, I suspect they wouldn't bring back a Monsters Inc. ride. Although, it's possible they move it. I mean, they have moved attractions before. I'm pretty sure that they've moved some of the attractions from the Bugs Life, which is now currently over the Avengers Campus. They moved them over here. So I could be wrong. Maybe it's a whole new ride, and it just looks like the Bugs Life ride. But they could move it. Right? That would make it easier than make it cheaper for Disneyland to make a new ride, right? If you simply just take most of the pieces, even 50% of the pieces, and then you keep it, then make things cheaper. But who knows what Disneyland's going to do. It's very exciting. All this news is just released. It's very recent, and I can't wait to see what Disneyland does next. It's going to be phenomenal, and I am excited for the next few years. I'm excited for the next decade, because I think Disneyland is going to do some amazing changes. Anyway, guys, I'll see you later. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to throw them at me. If you have any news that you think it should be covered, let me know. But take care, and let's have fun at the happiest place on earth. Goodbye.